first things I noticed in the 12 minutes of gameplay we got from Hogwarts Legacy is what seems to be our main antagonist, a goblin by the name of Ranrok who is leading a goblin rebellion against wizards. Ranrok is described as having an intense hatred for wizards, which skews his worldview according to information we got in the PlayStation blog. He has seen a glimmer of magic that wizard kind tried to hide, even from themselves, and he wants that power in particular. Despite this thirst for power, is Ranrok's motivation for a goblin rebellion really unfounded? According to the Wizarding World lore, there have actually been many goblin rebellions where goblins fought against discrimination and prejudice. This was because most wizards considered goblins as inferior and subservient, much like many other creatures such as house elves and werewolves. Ironically, the Fountain of Magical Brethren located in the Ministry of Magic showed a goblin, a house elf, and a centaur gazing admiringly at a witch and wizard, which was the perfect metaphor of how wizards view themselves as a superior species. Goblins were forbidden by the Ministry to carry wands, which created deep-seated resentment among their kind. The rebellions mostly prevailed in the 17th and 18th century, which means the rebellion Ranrok is leading, which is in the late 19th century, was not one of the many that occurred during the history of the Wizarding World, but instead one which followed many failed ones in the previous centuries. The rebellions have been described as bloody and vicious, which must be the case for the one Ranrok will be leading as well. The trailer clearly shows Ranrok has strong magical abilities, being able to stand toe-to-toe with the experienced Professor Fig, who will be accompanying us on our journey. Ranrok seems to be working alongside Victor Rookwood, which may be a descendant of Augustus Rookwood, a Death Eater and follower of Lord Voldemort. We still don't know Victor's motivations, however, as I doubt he cares about the prejudice goblins have faced. The theme of other creatures' inferiority to wizards was not only brought up in the case of goblins. Hermione's Spew Club, which stands for the Society for the Promotion of Elfish Welfare, aimed to support house elves' understanding in wizarding law. The enslavement of house elves was largely viewed as normal in the eyes of wizards, as they had been conditioned to devote and obey their master's command, having no free will of their own. The instance where we see a wizard comment on the injustice of goblins occurs with Bill Weasley, when he references the Goblin Rebellion saying, "There has been fault on both sides. I would never claim that wizards have been innocent." To further prove wizards were aware of the mistreatment of goblins, during Voldemort's rise in power, many were afraid goblins would join his side, as did other oppressed creatures such as werewolves and giants. However, due to the murder of a goblin family by Voldemort, the species were neutral in the war. But this fear was rooted in the knowledge that wizards knew how mistreated and oppressed the creatures who were tempted to join Voldemort were. A reason for the resentment goblins festered may have begun during the lifetime of Godric Gryffindor, where Ragnak I, who has similar name to Ranrok, forged the Sword of Gryffindor. A legend that Gryffindor stole the sword still persists in the goblin community, even if untrue. Even if he didn't steal it, however, goblins have a very different definition of theft from wizards. By their standards, the maker of an item is the rightful owner of that said item, not the purchaser. It was required to be returned to the maker after his death, as the wizard paying for the artifact was merely renting it, not owning it. Therefore, the passing of the sword from Godric Gryffindor to another wizard without further payment to the maker was considered theft to the goblin community. It is clear that over the years there have been many feuds between goblins and wizards, and no one can say who was right each time, but considering that the major reason for the rebellions of goblins were to fight the prejudice and oppression their kind faced by wizards, could you really blame them for the bloodshed that followed? Many have related it to Adolf Hitler's theory of Jews, and that J.K. Rowling used the prejudice of Nazis against Jews as an inspiration. What do you think? Will you be against Ranrok in the upcoming Hogwarts Legacy game? As an avid supporter of Hermione's Spew Club, I can't help but slightly side on the side of goblins, but I will have to wait and see to see what Ranrok has to say. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.